LPT request: how to bring up a coworker's beau issue tactfully. At my workplace there is this guy who was nice, but he smelled foul. Let's call him Michael. I heard about him first through another coworker, who said that nobody had brought it up because they didn't know how to say it. We work in customer service at a reuse center, so we mainly just sit like 1 meter 3 feet apart from each other. So it isn't an issue most of the time. But when you get up close you can tell he smells horrid. I no longer work there, but I'd like to know what would have been the best way to bring it up. This was my first job and I knew they were going to make me work at another location soon. So I didn't really push it. So what should have we done? Had a guy whose breath traveled to my cubicle. I offered him gum. Didn't work. Talked to my manager about it, and since she gets paid to deal with those things, she moved his seat next to her desk that Monday and ended up having a private talk with him by days. And because she couldn't take the smell. Oh wow, I went through this on one of my first jobs while in college. I was a team leader. 35 people sitting in cubicles and one lady wasn't washing regularly. The odor was quite offensive. We initiated a discussion to the entire room in most general terms, discussing the importance of good hygiene and working in close quarters. No finger pointing or identification. The lady never showed up again for work after that discussion. My approach was 100 wrong. Should have pulled her aside and discussed it privately. No matter how uncomfortable. But I was young and stupid. Generally it's better for their superior to bring it up with the employee for an issue like this. I would have gone to my superior and let her know that a few of his coworkers had made comments regarding his beau. Generally in every working contract job description there is a requirement of keeping up self-hygiene habits. I was the person that smelled at work. For me it was because of depression. I appreciated that a co-worker on my level came up to me and told me about it rather than going up the chain. It's usually an easy fix for the person and not something that needs to be blown up if it's the first time they are hearing it. I had one guy when I was running a restaurant that I needed to have this conversation with. I dreaded it mostly because I didn't want to embarrass him. But he ended up telling me something like he had an allergy to something I don't remember. I think he said water. But that sounds silly now. Might have been the soap he was using. Occasionally, he would come in not stinking and would have like this reddish, flaky rash all over. So I kinda believed him. Sort of. Luckily, I caught him stealing cash. So I had to term him. If you're friendly with the person, you can gently bring it up in conversation. It's possible they'll be offended, but you could be like, listen bro, I care about you and want what's best for you. Truly though, if it's a coworker, it's not your place to say anything. You go to your manager and make a complaint that it interferes with your work, and note that other employees have made similar complaints. Management is paid to deal with difficult staffing issues, and they are required to speak with the person about their hygiene issues. My husband accidentally informed a coworker about her stinky BO in the summer. He comes in from outside. A fellow flight instructor female was pretty ripe. He said, "Wow, what smells like BO in here?" She says, "I think it's me." My husband said, "Oh, I don't think it's you." And he grabs a clipboard and goes back outside. His boss later thanked him profusely for bringing it up. I worked at a restaurant and there was another young guy whose armpits smelled. The girls asked me to talk to him. I would give him a ride home. So I explained to him in the car he needed to wear deodorant because we worked in food service. I didn't mention anyone else. He didn't say anything and started wearing deodorant. It was just guy to guy, and he took it as such. Have a chat with your supervisor. Don't tackle it on your own. You may end up on a disciplinary over a grievance. If you're in a supervisory role, speak with your manager or HR and decide on a plan to tackle the issue. It's a really sensitive and personal issue for the person involved and may leave them feeling ostracized and humiliated. Pro tip: if the smell gets too much, put a bit of Vicks Vapo Rub under your nose to mask the smell. Or your country's equivalent. This is HR's job. You don't want to get fired or handle it the wrong way, potentially causing distress. You never know what someone is going through. Go wow sir, that is a bold fragrance choice. What is that? Ass and Onions by Giorgio Armani. Wait, I know exactly what to do. Get a Kramer who is unrelated to the company to come in to fix something and just absolutely say what everyone is thinking, then leave. It's perfect. I'm bored. Let's spray random deodorants on ourselves. Honestly, you just tell them. Subtlety won't work here. Had a similarly smelly coworker. Early one morning, someone anonymously left a bar of soap and bottle of deodorant on his desk. Pigpen apparently got the message. What shocked us was that he was asking around to find who did it. Shit, man. I'd have just quietly taken the hint and not made a big stink out of it. Well, the way we do it in the military. Listen, you smell so fucking bad with BO that it's completely unprofessional. Wash your ass. This is the only warning you get. This is the shit HR is supposed to deal with. A coworker is not your problem. Tell his/her boss. That's why they get the big bucks. Several of our coworkers brought the issue up with their supervisor. The supervisor was able to go to the smelly employee and say there has been some that brought up an issue with the employee's possible lack of hygiene. Offered some suggestions of daily bathing and deodorant use. Seems the employee was nose deaf to his odors. They improved their hygiene, but every now and then slips back to being smelly again. Overall, it was a big improvement. There could be a way you could tactfully bring it up in passing, but only in a 1-1 environment, and best way to bring it up if you guys were in convo about non-work stuff already. Something: hey, were you working out this morning? I'm getting a smell like you were training earlier maybe? Don't make a big deal of it, just subtly bringing up makes them aware there's a whiff. That might at least get them thinking about it and hopefully work on it. If that doesn't work, I'd consider going further. But only in 1-1, but now more explicit: man, I'm getting that smell again. Are you using antiperspirant? Buy one of those mini desk fans, and point it in their direction. The let's call him Michael part did not have to be there, lol. I once had a manager with the worst breath I've ever smelled. His tiny office would start to smell like his breath if he sat there all day. He regularly had conversations with his boss when she would come and visit. I don't think she ever said anything to him about it. No one really did. He was happily engaged and everything. To this day I still can't understand why no one gave him a friendly heads up about it. He was a very nice guy and did great job-wise. I've thought about telling him about it myself, but I decided that it's not my business telling my superior about it. I worked in HR for quite a while. At one MFG company, a supervisor came to me to say he had an employee who was having a body odor issue. He was getting complaints from the co-workers. So I had to ask this employee to come to my office and talk about it with him. He told me he was undergoing chelation therapy. I asked him what it was. He told me, and there was nothing I could suggest, so I failed at resolving this issue. Apparently, it is a real therapy, and one of its unpleasant side effects is body odor.